Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Zahava, and in today's video, we are going to be talking over airplanes and showing you a little book haul. So today I decided that I needed a little retail bookish therapy, and I went out to an Indigo in my area and I just went to the bargain section and picked up a whole bunch of books for $8 each. The other thing I did today is Eric and I went to see his parents, and around their place there's a couple of different parks where they have free little libraries, and I was able to find 2 books at one of the 2 that I visited, which I didn't get any footage of, but I'll show you the 2 books that I picked up. But first I want to start by showing you the copy of Retribution Falls by Chris Wooding that I started reading the library book about. You guys know that. And I wanted to show you that it came to me with a whole bunch of stains. I don't know if you guys can see that. I think I paid about £4 or something for this one, and it's not in the greatest condition, but at least I don't have to worry about how fast I'm reading it. I can read it at my own pace, and it doesn't have to go back to the library. So there was just this little thing that I wanted to show you guys. I did order the rest of the series. They shipped books 2, 3, and 4 shipped separately. This book shipped by itself, so luckily it came in first and I was able to continue it. So that's just the one thing I wanted to say. Now, next, let's get into the books that I found today. So at the free little library, I gave one, I think it was like a Garth Brooks biography. That was a book that I had given my dad, and he read it and then gave it back to me. It came through one of my eBay hauls, and I decided that I was going to give that one away to a free little library, so I did. And then I found 2 books at the free little library that I was interested in. So the first one here is The Ice Child by Camilla Lackberg. Now, I have never read Camilla Lackberg before. I think that she writes mystery thriller suspense novels, so these are mass market paperback format, and I would like to give her a try. I don't know if she has a recurring detective. If she does, maybe you guys can let me know in the comments, but I've never tried her books before, and I understand that she's very well received and pretty popular, so I'm excited to get to this one when I'm in the mood for a mystery thriller. The second book that I found was actually pretty fortuitous. I found my very first Redwall series. This is by Brian Jacques, and the title is Lord Brocktree. Now, as I understand, this is the 13th book in the series, but it is the first, like the earliest book chronologically. So I'm pretty sure that if I started with this one, I would be okay to get a flavor for Brian Jacques' writing. I think that I have never picked up one of his books before just because there were so many out there, and kind of like Terry Pratchett, it intimidated me a little bit. Also, like Robert Jordan, I find it very intimidating, especially when there's so many books that are taking place in the same universe. But I thought it would be good to give it a try, considering the fact that it was free. And I don't know, the cover is like really, really cute as well. I just love, like, it's a badger fighting, I don't know, it looks to be like a saber-toothed tiger. I'm not really sure, but it's definitely a cat. So I think it's pretty cool. I'd like to give it a try. Let me know if you guys are familiar with Brian Jacques and, you know, what I should be expecting in terms of the writing, because I'm going into these books, both of these, absolutely blind. The other books I want to show you today are the books that I picked up at Indigo, and I think that I've just, you know, come home. I'm so excited. I sat down. I wanted to just show you guys everything that I have, but I am going to be reading you the synopses. So if you guys want to pause the video and go get a drink or a snack or something like that, I thought that we could look at these things together, and hopefully you guys will be turned on to some books that you don't really know anything about, because I don't know anything about these ones. And as always, if you guys know about them or have read them, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are, okay? So I should just start by saying that these books were all in the bargain section. I'm just pulling them out of my, like, I came to this video prepared, as usual, right? I didn't even take them out of the bag yet. These books were all in the bargain section, so I got them for $8 Canadian each, but since I am a Plum member at Indigo, I get an extra 10% off, and I did have a $5 off coupon because I had enough points to turn in the points for a $5 off coupon. So the total, including the taxes, and on books we only pay GST if I'm not mistaken in Canada. There's only one tax to pay, yeah. So the total was $49.81, $2.61 of which were the 5% taxes. So I think that I did pretty well for coming home with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 brand new hardcover books. 7 books, so I'm really happy. I should also just mention that I'm not getting married, but it is the shirt that I wore to my wedding. So we actually eloped. Eric and I went to Vegas over Christmas in 2019, and we eloped, and it was like super fun just to have like no one at our wedding. It was a second marriage for both of us, so we figured we would, you know, we would do it that way, and it worked out really well. So I clearly need to do laundry. This is my just like pajama shirt. So if you're wondering why it says bride, it's because I got married in this shirt. I'm not like getting married. I'm already married. All right, so let's talk about the books that I bought. With the exception of this one, which cost me $9 because it was like a 3 for 20s. So I don't know what happened, but it was in the bargain section and they didn't have many 3 for 20s. So this one I did pay a little bit more, but this one is by Dan Cahan. I'm not sure if it's how to pronounce that, and it's called Sleepwalk, and I'll read you guys what it's about because I thought it was really interesting. And you guys, I'm so sorry, by the way, but my neighbor across the street, he has this like obsession with passing the leaf blower on his driveway. So if you guys can hear that, I'm really, really sorry. I don't know if it's going to be picked up by the mic, but I can hear it here, and it's driving me crazy, but there's nothing I can do about it because the guy has been here, like, I don't know, he like leaf blows his driveway. I'm so sorry. Okay, so let's talk about Sleepwalk if you guys haven't heard of it. So, Will Bear is a man with so many aliases that he simply thinks of himself as the barely blur. At 50, he's never had a real job, never paid taxes, never been in a committed relationship. The errands he runs for his mysterious employers are questionable at best, but as he jumps state lines in his camper van, there's no denying that his work suits him. He remains downright jolly even in the darkest moments, thanks at least in part to his passion for LSD microdosing. This is funny. Because it's like, I'm reading this for the first time with you guys. Well, actually, like, it's not true. I read them in the store, but I skimmed over them, like, really quickly. So I thought I would share it all with you. Anyway, okay, so we're continuing on. Will's life is turned upside down when one of his many burner phones heralds a call from a 20-year-old woman claiming to be his biological daughter. Not only is he doubtful of her claim, he's so off the grid that he's sure she must be a hired professional to have found him. And while he's surprised by how much he wants what she's saying to be true, he also knows he's taking a risk by not assassinating her immediately, especially when she starts slinging conspiracy theories about the people he works for, whom it suddenly occurs to him he doesn't know all that much about. With his signature blend of haunting emotional realism and fast-paced intrigue, Dan Cahan, I don't know, I don't know how to say his name, populates his fractured America with characters that ring all too true. The result is both a heart-stopping romp and a thoughtful, searing meditation on parenthood, the joys and curses of being human, and what true connection looks like in our current moment. So these are pretty much all sci-fi fantasy books, by the way, you guys. So this is Sleepwalk, so that's the first book. The second book I bought, it's a little bit of a cover buy, I won't lie. It's called Rather Weird, which kind of sounds like rather weird, but it's rather weird. I just love the cover of it. Look at that. I love the cover. And this one says, welcome to Rather Weird. The town of Rutherweird stands alone. There are no guidebooks despite the diverse and original architectural styles cramming the narrow streets, the avant-garde science and offbeat customs cast adrift from the rest of England by Elizabeth I. Rutherweird's independence is subject to one disturbing condition. Nobody studies the town or its history. For beneath the enchanting surface lurks a secret so dark that it must never be rediscovered, still less reused. But secrets have a way of leaking out. Two inquisitive outsiders have arrived, Jonah Oblong to teach modern history at Rutherweird School, nothing local and nothing before 1800, and the sinister billionaire Sir Veronal Slickstone, who has somehow got permission to renovate the town's long-derelict manor house. Slickstone and Oblong, though driven by conflicting motives, both strive to connect past and present until they and their allies are drawn into a race against time and each other. The consequences will be lethal and apocalyptic. So, yeah, this one also... kind of big font, big formatting. It is coming, oh, and it's got these like illustrations in it as well, which are really cool. But yeah, another fantasy, sounds like it could be a really, really fun time. Let me know if you guys have read this one. Next, I've got a sort of sci-fi one. I think it's more sci-fi. These are all kind of genre blends, fantasy, sci-fi mostly. This one is called Hench by Natalie Zena Walschatz? I don't know. I'm not really sure how to pronounce. So, you guys know I'm so bad with names, but I'm not that bad at reading, so I'll let you guys know what this is about as well. So this says, Anna does boring things for terrible people because even criminals need office help and she needs a job. Working for a monster lurking beneath the surface of the world isn't glamorous, but is it really worse than working for an oil conglomerate or an insurance company? As a temp, Anna's just a cog in the machine, but when she finally gets a promising assignment, everything goes very wrong and an encounter with the so-called hero leaves her badly injured. And to her horror, compared to the other bodies strewn about, she's the lucky one. And so, of course, then she gets laid off. With no money, no mobility, and only her anger and internet research acumen, Anna discovers that her suffering at the hands of a hero is far from unique. When people start listening to the story that her data tells, she realizes she may not be as powerless as she thinks. because the key to everything is data, knowing how to collate it, how to manipulate it, and how to weaponize it. By tallying up the human cost these caped forces of nature wreak upon the world, she discovers that the line between good and evil is mostly marketing. And with social media and viral videos, she can control that appearance. It's not too long before Anna's employed once more, this time by one of the worst villains on Earth, and she becomes an increasingly valuable lieutenant. She might just save the world. A sharp, witty, modern debut, Hench explores the individual cost of justice through a fascinating mix of millennial office politics, heroism measured through data science, body horror, and a profound misunderstanding of quantum mechanics. I feel like, Angela, if you're listening, this might be one that you've read or one that you might want to put on your radar, so let me know. It makes me think of you. The next one that I got is called Tangled Minds, or The Tangled Minds. And this one is by Paolo Bacigalupi? Bacigalupi? I don't know, you guys. The names. All right, Kahim, the last great city of a decaying empire, clings to life. The living memory of the empire's great city of Jantpara is told in the hovels of the refugee camps across the river in Lesser Kahim. The other cities are buried under cloying poisonous bramble. It is a world where magic destroys. Every time a spell is cast, a bit of bramble sprouts, sending up tangling vines, bloody thorns, and a poisonous sleep. It sprouts in tilled fields and in neighbors' roof beams, thrusts up from between cobblestones, and bursts forth from the sacks of powdered spice. A bit of magic and bramble follows. A little at first, and then more, until whole cities are dragged down under tangling vines, monuments to people who loved magic too much. Teams of workers fight a losing battle to preserve the environment against the growing bramble. To practice magic is to tempt death at the hands of the mob. Yet the city of Kahim is ruled by a tyrant and the most powerful of defilers, the last great magister of the world. Award-winning authors Paolo Basigulapi and Tobias S. Buckle explore a shared world where magic is forbidden and its use is rewarded with the executioner's axe. A world of glittering memories and a desperate present where everyone uses a little magic and someone else always pays the price. So yeah, this one too is, let's see, it's under 300 pages. This one is, yeah, under 300 pages, just under, like 294 pages. So again, sounds like it could be a really good time. I've never heard anyone talk about this, but you guys already know that I'm kind of late to the game. So if you have heard of this, let me know in the comments. Next, we have a sci-fi, and this one is called Relic, and it is by Alan Dean Foster, and that is his picture right there on the back. Let me tell you what this one is about. Okay. Once Homo sapiens reigned supreme, spreading from star system to star system in an empire that encountered no alien life and thus knew no enemy save itself. As had happened many times before, the basest, most primal human instincts rose up, only this time armed with the advanced scientific knowledge to create a genetically engineered smart virus that quickly wiped out humanity to the last man. That man is Ruslan, the sole known surviving human being in the universe. Rescued from the charnel house of his home planet by the Misari, an intelligent alien race, Ruslan spends his days as something of a cross between a research subject and a zoo attraction. Though the Misari are determined to resurrect the human race using Ruslan's genetic material, all he wants for himself and his species is oblivion. But then the Misari make Ruslan an extraordinary offer. In exchange for his cooperation, they will do everything in their considerable power to find the lost homeworld of his species, in an all but mythical place called Earth, and perhaps another living human. Thus begins an epic journey of adventure, danger, heartbreak, and hope, as Ruslan sets out in search of a place that may no longer exist, drawn by the slimmest yet most enduring hope. So, last human on whatever planet they seem to be on, and maybe the hope of reuniting with other humans. So that is Relic. Next, we have Aspects by John M. Ford, which has also a really, really cool cover. I hope that that's coming into focus for everyone. Okay, so this book, you guys, I actually am going to need your help with. If you guys know anything about it, please let me know what the plot is down in the comments, because whatever is written on the flap on the inside of this book, and also it's the exact same thing as that's on Goodreads, and it really doesn't tell you what the story's about. So I just kind of went based on the fact that it had a 3.81 general reading from the users, and I will read you what it says, but like honestly for me, it doesn't make any sense. So it says, At last, the final work of John M. Ford, one of the greatest sci-fi and fantasy authors of his time. Enter the halls of Parliament with Varric, Coran of the Corvic coast. Visit strange house with the Archmage Birch. Explore the mountains of Lady Longlight alongside the Palian Silvern Sorcerer. Politics and abdicated kings, swords and sorcerers, machine guns, divination, and ancient empires. Finally, Aspects is here. So like this, I have no idea what this book is, you guys. Like not a clue.
Editing Zahava here. So I ended up doing some research on the John Ford novel novel, and it looks like the author died in 2006, and this novel was published posthumously in 2022, and it contains 7 chapters of a novel that he was working on, along with 8 paragraphs of an 8th chapter of that same novel, which of course was never completed because he died before it was completed. So that is pretty much the gist of what it is that I purchased. So there's going to be 7 long chapters and then 8-ish paragraphs, 8 paragraphs of the 8th chapter. So I don't even know if this novel is going to come to a conclusion or what it's going to end up being like, but I think that I still am going to read it because it's got very good reviews, number one. And number two, it would be interesting to see, just from my own experience, what a non-finished novel looks like after publication. So just, for curiosity's sake, I think it'll be something worth reading. So yeah, we're going to head back to the video now for the last book in this book haul.
And then lastly, I picked up a copy of Sorrowland by Rivers Solomon, and this actually, I think, is probably the one that I am the most excited to read. And it says, Vern, 7 months pregnant and desperate to escape the strict religious compound where she was raised, flees for the shelter of the woods. There, she gives birth to twins and plans to raise them far from the influence of the outside world. But even in the forest, Vern is a hunted woman, forced to fight back against the community that refuses to let her go. She unleashes incredible brutality far beyond what a person should be capable of, her body racked by inexplicable and uncanny changes. To understand her metamorphosis and to protect her small family, Vern has to face the past and, more troublingly, the future outside the woods. Finding truth will mean uncovering not only the secrets of the compound she fled, but also the violent history of America that produced it. Rivers Solomon's Sorrowland is a genre-bending work of Gothic fiction. Here, monsters aren't just individuals, but entire nations. This is a searing, seminal book that marks the arrival of a bold, unignorable voice in American fiction. So I'm liking the fact that this book centers around a heroine who escapes from a compound and she's trying to have her babies and do right by, I guess, her children and her life. And I'm excited to see where this one goes as well. I do really love the cover of it. I haven't heard anyone talking about it. I don't know how long this book has been published or if it made any lists, like Goodreads list or any of the other short or long lists like Nebula's or whatever, but I know that this is also a fantasy, sci-fi, and apparently also a little bit of a gothic. So yeah, that will bring us to the end of today's book haul. I'm excited to hear your comments and your thoughts about the books that I picked up. If you guys have read any, if you guys have suggestions as to what I should be starting first. I just, like I said, I was in a mood today. I decided I just wanted to do some book shopping, and I feel like I could have done a lot more damage, but I was a good girl because I stayed in the bargain section, and I think I did pretty well. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with me today and letting me show you all of my books, and I will see you again in the next video. Ciao for now.